This was a great play design. Great screen. Everybody out in front. You are not stopping that. 7 TDs in 7 games. Unbelievable. The Lions enter Week 11 at 8-1, coming off of one of the most improbable victories in franchise history. Detroit now returns home looking to round back into form, test their newest addition, and make a final push towards the Super Bowl. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Johnny Gaz. Thank you for returning for another video. Detroit's going to kick it off with Jacksonville Week 11, Sunday, November 17th. This will be on CBS at 1 p.m. Let's go through my full game preview. I'll start with the headlines and storylines from this week. I'll talk about the key matchups and X factors. I'll tell you what the difference will be in this game, and at the end, I'll give my final score and prediction, so make sure to stick around. Let's get into it. Before we discuss Lions and Jags, make sure to hit that like button. It's the best free way to help out the channel. I'd love it if you consider subscribing. We are now on the road to 3,000 subscribers, thanks to you guys. And if you hit the notify bell, you won't miss any future videos. There's a membership option available. That's where I do all my live game play-by-play reactions, tier list, a ton of other fun stuff. But there's always free content here for you all the time. Let me know in the comments down below. Who do you have in this Week 11 matchup? It's a huge spread. Can the Lions cover? Definitely hit me up down below. Let's dive into Week 11. Let's kick this thing off with our headlines and storylines from Week 11. Let's start with the Lions. They enter this matchup at 8-1. They're first in the NFC North and the overall first seed in the NFC currently. They're expected to debut their newest addition, edge rusher Pro Bowler Zadarius Smith. The Lions took their time on this one, giving Zadarius Smith his bye week that he would have earned with Cleveland if he hadn't been traded away. Dan Campbell had a quote this week that we got 11 games left here, which would include a run through the Super Bowl. So they are looking at not just the short term, but the long-term effort here. Zadarius Smith is expected to make his debut against the Jaguars. The spread for this matchup is the largest of the 2024 NFL season at Lions minus 13.5 points. They have been historically good against the spread the last several seasons and are the best in the league against the spread this year at 7-2. They currently have the best scoring margin by 2+ points at plus 12.6. The NFL Players Association released their list of top-selling jerseys so far for the 2024 NFL season, which still included Aiden Hutchinson at number 4 in that top 10 list. Another Lion at number 6, Amon-Ra St. Brown. With the Lions' success this season, currently riding a 7-game winning streak, the offensive and defensive coordinators are getting a lot of buzz that could potentially mean head coaching candidates down the road. Offensive coordinator Ben Johnson has controlled this high-powered offense for several seasons. He had opportunities over this last offseason to take a head coaching job. He decided against it to stay with the Lions and hopefully complete the process here. Him along now with defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, especially coming off of the matchup in Week 10 against the Houston Texans. The Lions defense has showed marked improvement here in 2024. Both those gentlemen will see huge opportunities at head coaches in the offseason. Also in the news, stemming from his performance in Week 10 against Houston, Jake Bates has been named the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Of course, he had the 58-yard field goal long against Houston and then the game winner to seal it 52 yards. He has been fantastic so far in this 2024 NFL season. And on the Lions injury front, we have a new addition to the injured reserve list, linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maybin, who suffered the neck injury in Week 9. He did come back into that matchup, but was not able to play last week. He has been placed on injured reserve and will be out for at least the next 3 weeks. Linebacker Derek Barnes, who suffered the knee injury against Arizona in Week 3, has come back to the facility there at Allen Park. He is working with Lions trainers there in his rehab along with Aiden Hutchinson. So it's great to get both those guys back in the facility. There is word that if everything goes as planned, both of those players could potentially make a comeback for a playoff or Super Bowl run. Defensive tackle Broderick Martin, cornerback Emmanuel Mosley, and safety Ife Melifonwu are still in their 21-day window and expected to miss this game against the Jags. On the opposite end, Taylor Decker, the left tackle, as well as linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez were full participants in practice Thursday and expected to play this week. However, tight end Sam Laporta did not practice either day with his shoulder injury and is considered doubtful. And lastly, a new injury to report, Carlton Davis, a hand injury reported on Thursday of this week. We're not sure if it stems from practice or the matchup against Houston. Again, the Lions come in at 8-1, the first time since 1954, and on a 7-game winning streak. They're looking to regroup from that uncharacteristic matchup in Week 10 against Houston. The Jacksonville Jaguars entered this matchup at 2-8 and are currently last in the AFC South. There's a ton of questions surrounding this team here in 2024 as not much has gone right. A lot of rumors swirl around head coach Doug Peterson as it appears that they have a lot of talent on this team, but they just have not been put in the right positions to succeed. Jacksonville has been mostly competitive this year, but just hasn't been able to put it all together. They have 5 single-digit losses already here in 2024. And the injuries for Jacksonville, I think you got to start with the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, they've come out and said he's going to miss his second straight game. He has the left shoulder injury. That means that Mac Jones will make his second straight start. They're going to give Lawrence the one extra day. They have their bye week after Week 11, so hopefully to bring him back strong in Week 13. Head coach Doug Peterson came out and said that he was very positive about the injuries to left guard Ezra Cleveland and his ankle, as well as defensive lineman Mason Smith, who also had an injury. Both were limited practice Wednesday, but were trending upwards and appear probable for this matchup against the Lions. Offensively, the Jaguars have been hurting. They are already without wide receiver Christian Kirk. Currently, wide receivers Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis are both limited in practice this week. We'll have to monitor. They are questionable for the Week 11 matchup. Defensively, Josh Hines-Allen also was limited in practice Wednesday with a shoulder injury. He's also questionable. And running back Tank Bigsby, an ankle injury, did not practice at all Wednesday. I have him listed as doubtful for this matchup in Week 11 against the Lions. Jacksonville is in a tough spot this week. They are looking to recover from a tough loss to Minnesota in Week 10, where they gave up only 4 field goals in that matchup, but still found a way to lose. The Lions have many distinct advantages here in this Week 11 game against the Jaguars. So to me, the only way that Jacksonville is able to hold in there is if they are able to get a strong defensive performance and hold this Lions offense down for a second straight week. So to me, the biggest matchup in this game will be the Lions offensive line against the Jaguars defensive front. The Jags actually have a pretty formidable front four, especially at the edges where they bring in Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen. Those are 2 tough edges to deal with, and Trayvon Walker is having a fantastic season. 37 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. For Allen, 26 tackles, 5 sacks, and 4 tackles for loss. The Lions are going to have to be on the lookout for those 2 edge rushers, and we'll have to monitor if Josh Allen will play in this matchup. Jacksonville also is decently stout in run defense. They only give up 4.3 yards per carry, which is in the top 10 of all of the NFL. On the Lions side, they did not give up a sack in Week 10 against the Houston Texans, but had given up 9 sacks in their previous 3 matchups. They also got off to a very slow start in the run game there in Week 10 and will be looking to pick it up against the Jaguars' front 7. The Lions enter this game healthy across the offensive line with the returning left tackle, Taylor Decker, and I believe over time in this game they will wear down the Jaguars' front 7, and I believe the Lions' run game will rebound here in Week 11. The second key matchup in this game, and what might be the biggest mismatch here, are the Lions' offensive weapons against the Jacksonville secondary. Jacksonville gives up the 3rd most yards in all of the NFL currently. They do not create turnovers, and I think that's going to be a problem for them here in this game. Detroit has weapons all over the field. We just talked about the offensive line and how I believe they will get the run game going. Well, Jared Goff was historically bad in Week 10 with the 5 interceptions, and I think this is going to be a get-right opportunity against one of the weaker secondaries in all of the NFL. In this matchup, I expect the Lions to deploy all of their weapons. I believe the running backs will play a key factor in the passing attack for the Lions in this matchup in Week 11 against the Jaguars. I really believe they will overwhelm their secondary and control this game. Those key matchups then bring us to our X factors, and I think for Week 11 against the Jaguars, we got to start again with quarterback Jared Goff, and I was dead wrong in my assessment for the game preview of Week 10, where I thought Jared Goff would continue his efficient momentum. Obviously, that did not carry into Week 10. He had the 5 interceptions, but as I mentioned in the key matchup, I think this is a get-right opportunity against a very poor secondary. And sticking with the Lions offense, I think if this passing attack is going to take off, you have to start with the sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has scored touchdowns in 7 straight matchups. Currently on the season, he has 54 receptions, 524 yards, and those 7 touchdowns. Look for him to be the biggest X factor here in Week 11. For the Jaguars offensively, I think you have to be on the lookout for tight end Evan Ingram. He had a fantastic matchup in Week 10 against Minnesota, 6 receptions for 40 yards. He does only have the 1 touchdown on the season, but I think the Lions are susceptible to tight ends over the middle. I think their linebacker pass coverage is one of the weaker units on the Lions, and that would be the one area of concern. And staying with the Jaguars, but switching over to the defense, I think an X factor could be Trayvon Walker. Again, he's having his best NFL season so far. I'm giving you the statistics. He's currently working off of 7.5 sacks and 9 tackles for loss. He is wreaking havoc, so the Lions' offensive line will have to be on the lookout here in Week 11. On the Lions side defensively, I think you have to look at the defensive line. And no, I'm not going to go with the newest addition, but I think the benefactor of Zadarius Smith coming into the lineup for the Lions will be what will happen with the other players on the defensive line. And I think Josh Pascal will be a huge benefactor in Week 11, so be on the lookout for him to make an impact. Also, Brian Branch, the safety. He's turned himself into maybe the best safety in all of the NFL. He is a playmaker. He's able to come up and stuff the run and make plays back in the secondary. So he is a key factor for Week 11. So here we go. Week 11, Detroit Lions, Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this is a lopsided matchup. The ultimate difference in this game will be the offense of the Lions overwhelming the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. Jacksonville ranks 32nd in overall defense in this matchup, and they have given up the second most touchdowns in all of the NFL, 30, only behind the Carolina Panthers at 36. At the root of this, you have quarterback Jared Goff against Mac Jones, and I just think that coming off of that uncharacteristic Week 10 performance against Houston and the 5 interceptions, I don't believe Jared Goff ever has that sort of statistical game again, and this really has all the makings of a get-right game against a very poor Jacksonville secondary. The Detroit Lions can and will attack you from all angles, and I believe that will be on full display coming back home to Ford Field in Week 11. Look for the Lions to win big here in this matchup. The spread for this football game is a whopping Lions minus 13.5, and the over-under set at 46.5 points. As I mentioned, I think the Lions offense ultimately overwhelms this matchup against the Jaguars. But don't forget about that defense. Aaron Glenn has really revamped this entire defense, and they have taken strides now in 2024, even after the departure of Aiden Hutchinson. We just came off a video talking about how I believe the addition of Zadarius Smith may be what they need to make the ultimate push towards the Super Bowl. I'm excited to see what his addition means for that Lions defense. I believe the Lions run away with this matchup here, coming back home to Ford Field in Week 11. I have the Lions winning in a landslide, 38-16. That would move the Lions to 9-1 and would drop the Jaguars down to 2-9. That will wrap up my Week 11 game preview, Detroit Lions, Jacksonville Jaguars. Make sure to comment down below. Do the Lions have a shot at beating that spread? 13.5 points is huge. I think the Lions have a good shot at it. Make sure to let me know what you think down below. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate all the interaction on the videos. Make sure to hit the like button if you dig the vibe here at Johnny Gas Sports. I'd love it if you consider subscribing. We're now on the road to 3,000 thanks to you guys. And if you hit the notify bell, you won't miss any future videos. There's a little blue join button on all my videos there. If you hit it, I'll walk you through how you can become a part of the family. More than anything else, I want to make sure you take care of yourself and your mental health. I want to make sure you come back and see me on future videos. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy it. Go Lions.